In this video, I will tell you what is it like to live in Rhodes Island in Greece in winter. My name is Lena and this is my life in Rhodes. Welcome to the channel. Now in March, the sun rises at 6 in the morning and sets at 7:30 in the evening. Around Christmas, when the day is at its shortest, the sun sets before 5 o'clock in the afternoon. In the morning, the relative humidity usually rises to 90%. The ground is wet in the morning, even it hasn't rained for days. Morning moisture drips from the roof. I like to divide the year here in Rhodos into 4 equally long seasons. According to my calendar, the winter starts around in the middle of December. That's when the temperature goes down. The coldest in the nighttime usually here in the winter is from 12 to 13 degrees, and in the daytime the hottest temperature is around 16 to 17 degrees of Celsius. However, every winter we usually get a colder period. This is the time when it usually snows in the mainland of Greece. And also in this winter there was a colder period. They usually last for 1 to 2 weeks. I remember the lowest temperature this winter was 8 degrees of Celsius in the nighttime. And here in our house, the lowest temperature was at the time plus 17. Our house is pretty well isolated. We have here double windows. We don't have draft, or we don't get water leaking. But this is not the case for many of the houses here in Rhodos and in Greece. Usually in the winter in our house we have it around plus 19 inside the house. We heat our house only with our fireplace. We don't have any other heating system, and we usually put the fireplace on only in the evenings around the sunset. So we don't heat our house many hours per day, but it keeps the house warm enough and it's comfortable here. In Greece, high relative humidity feels like damp inside the house and may cause joint pain for some people. In addition, the humidity of the indoor air provides favorable conditions for mold. Every winter, some surface mold appears on the walls, which I brush off with some chlorine water. I do this every spring after the weather gets warm and I can keep all the windows open. Clothes also easily get a musty smell. I remember the first time when I traveled to Greece in wintertime. This was around 20 years ago. I went to Athens. It was around Christmas and it was snowing there at the time. And I remember it came to me as a big surprise how cold the apartments were. In this apartment was a big kitchen and living room area with big glass doors to the terrace balcony doors, and of course they didn't keep too much heat, brought cold air inside the house. And I think it must have been like around 10 degrees in the apartment. I don't know exactly, but I remember that it was really, really cold. And I was the only one who seemed to be bothered by this cold in the apartment. The Greeks, they were fine with it. Nobody was complaining. They didn't have a problem with it. Nobody was putting their jackets on or anything. I was the only one wrapped under blankets. And the Greeks, they were just wondering, like, how can you live in Finland when it's so cold there? And it's not just the apartments, it's also when you go outside to a supermarket, cafe or taverna, everywhere it's cold. Or for example, when you take a shower, The shower spaces are really cold. There's no radiator, there's no floor heating systems here. So, and the water usually is not exactly hot, maybe it's more like warm. So you can't kind of escape the cold, except you have to keep moving. But over time, I got used to this. The cold, it doesn't bother me anymore. Us people, we are really adaptable to our environment. Sometimes here in the winter, the wind can blow the rain sideways. And this is when the rainwater comes into the houses, into people's apartments, from the roof, from the windows, under the door, or through the pipelines. I remember last winter we had a storm like that when the wind was blowing the rain sideways. And in the biggest supermarket here in Soroninen Bazaar, I remember it was flooded. It was closed for a few days because they also had a power cut there. And I remember same was at the butcher store. They were sweeping water from their floors, from their store. And a friend of mine, he lives in the second floor, and he had the rainwater come through the pipelines. And when he came home from work, the floor was floating with a couple of centimeters of water. Nice to come home when all your carpets and shoes and everything is floating under the water. And this is also the reason, I'm going to show you, this is also a reason why here in Greece, the electricity plugs are here up, not close to the ground. It's for flooding. Local flooding is also possible here in the winter. They usually give warnings in the forecast, in the weather forecast. And when that happens, I usually try to avoid certain roads or going from the beach. I try to stay on the main roads. There can also be landslides and often power cuts. Power cuts are normal here. A tree in a storm falls on the power lines, but they're usually fixed pretty fast. They don't last for too many hours. The water outages are more rare, except here where we live. We're not in the same water grid with the village. Here in the country we have groundwater pumps on our road, and there's always some kind of leakage and problems and constant repairs of the pipes. I'm not sure why this is happening so much here. This winter we had 2 water outages, and the second one lasted about 4 to 5 days. And this happens here time to time. So we have to be prepared. I took water from the beach in 10-liter water bottles. The laundry was left unwashed and we missed our showers. My dream is to have my own whale so I can get water when I need it, and with a hand pump, so that I don't have to depend on electricity or gas. The grass grows high here in winter. Freshly cut grass grows back immediately. We try to keep it as short as possible because the annual tick army is coming in the spring. The hunting season here lasts until the end of February. This winter there were a lot of hunters on the road, especially in the last days of the hunting season. We heard gunshots all around our house. Outside felt like being in a war. Hunters came right to our plot and in front of the house to shoot. I was a bit scared because some of the shooting seemed to be quite reckless. I read in the local newspaper of Rhodes called Rodiaki that there were a lot of complaints from Soroni about hunters. So we were not the only ones who were afraid of this hunting activity. There was shooting in residential areas and next to the children's sports field. People had feared for their lives. There was an initiative to ban hunting in Soroni. I hope this does not mean that all the hunter will come here around our home. Our dirt road is often in bad shape, mud and potholes. This year, the municipality has kept the road in surprisingly good condition. The olive picking season begins in early winter before Christmas. There's usually a lot of people here when the locals who own these fields come to collect their olives from the trees. After that, people trim their trees and collect the firewood, burn the branches and fertilize the trees. Some people like to poison their weeds. This is what a field looks like after several years of poisoning. Small streams from the top of the mountains are formed by rain into larger rivers, which eventually flow into the sea. Coastal roads are also at risk of collapsing during winter storms. They are close to the shore because the sea level has risen. 20 years ago, the beaches were about 30 meters wider. Storms can be fierce here. Clouds are close to the earth, as is the sun. Clouds come and go. It rains more heavily, but the rains are relatively short. Lightning strikes hard and close because the clouds are close to the ground. The weather changes quickly. The sun can shine in the morning after dark clouds appear, bringing a heavy rain, and by noon the sun shines again. Although the weather conditions change quickly, the temperatures are more stable. Life revolves around everyday life. Some of the island's attractions are open all year round and some are closed. The same applies to restaurants and cafes. For example, the village of Valiraki turns into an empty ghost village in winter, while here in Soroni nothing changes because there are no hotels here. In the summer, some random tourists. After Christmas and New Year, there are no other major holidays in winter. Events and holidays are later in spring. In winter, in addition to meat and fish, people here eat bean, chickpea and lentil soup. Cabbages, root vegetables and citrus fruits are in season. I haven't bought any oranges or lemons this winter. You can pick them on the side of the road. These trees here are in a public place. Yes, you can pick them as long as you don't take them all. This is all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, bye bye.